And the one last thing to talk about here is not only are they changing the exam, but they're also changing the whole process of IDP. And the idea here is to make it be all in this same basic kind of thinking. So right now the IDP has 17 different experience areas. That's sort of a little overly detailed. It didn't necessarily make sense. People were kind of shoehorning experience into specific situations. And so now they're taking those and they're just dividing up into the exact same breakdown, those 6 different: practice management, project management, programming analysis, sort of beginnings of a project, detailing a project, finishing a project, and then construction, CA type of stuff. So IDP will still be essentially the same, but with this different breakdown and different way to kind of put the information together. And they're changing a couple of the things about the other experience that you can have be included in your IDP process. I'm not going to go into it in detail here, but some things are getting taken away and some things are being added in. So if this is something you're interested in, you should definitely check out their website.
And I do like how you did that. You incorporated a sneak attack quiz in there because everyone may be listening and thinking, gee, IDP, now it's the Architectural Experience Program.
You know, it was funny.
It's a nice little thing.
A nice little quiz, yeah. It's actually, I was going to change all the terminology, and then I went to the website, and the website still has all IDP written. So I'm not exactly sure what to say about it. They are clearly getting rid of the term intern. They've decided that is definitely going to be gone, which seems fine with me. Like, I don't care, but I don't think it's particularly meaningful. But they've made a significant decision, so they're going for this whole experience. They're focusing on the words experience instead of intern. But right now, you go to the website, it still says IDP. So it didn't seem right to have it be different from the website.
You have a couple similar and interesting questions here, which are basically asking if I've completed IDP or if I've maybe done IDP under a previous iteration, because it has changed quite a bit here. And in addition, not only the name, but of course, the requirements and the hours and so forth. Do you have to do it again if you want to do if
No.
you want to take A.R.E. 5? Do you need to do IDP over or do it differently or anything?
It's possible that you could have to do portions of it again, but you wouldn't have to do the whole thing again. If your record in NCARB, you have an ongoing record and you've finished IDP at some point. It's possible with the way that things got changed, there might be something they want you to get experience in before you finish, but I doubt it. I think if you've finished, you've essentially finished. It's important to know that these things, NCARB is there to provide a service to the states, that all of this is actually done through the states. And so the reason that NCARB has the exam and the IDP and all of that is because the states had each state was doing a totally different thing. It was all kind of crazy. And then a bunch of states got together and they made NCARB essentially. And so when you realize that, you also realize, oh wait, NCARB is telling us the way that they think it should be going. You should always check with your specific state's requirements. Every time I think I know what's going on in ours, somebody tells me, oh, by the way, we just got an email, it just changed. And there's always usually little changes, but you should definitely, before you commit to anything, always go through, make sure you understand what the actual requirements are for you in your state in that situation. But if you've truly gone through IDP, there was a period quite a while ago where the hours were significantly less, and then the hours got more and more and more. So if you did IDP anytime within the last few years, in the last 6 years or so, 8 years, your hours are probably more than what you need coming up in the next year or so. So you probably got extra hours, in fact.
So to Mike's point here, I just shared a link to NCARB's information about the IDP, which, as Mike said, is absolutely noted as the IDP on NCARB's website. So they haven't quite. They got
a lot on their hands right now, right? Yeah. Give them a break.
So you should definitely check out all the information about your specific situation on NCARB's website.
Yeah, and so I don't want to oversell that, but you really can't go wrong just kind of contacting your local licensing board, making sure you understand everything, the idea of the rolling clocks. The rolling clocks are going to stay. The NCARB version of the rolling clocks. There are different state versions of rolling clocks, so you have to make sure you understand which one you're actually worried about. You want to understand NCARB's issues, and you want to understand your local licensing board's issues to make sure you're ready to roll. Most of the states these days are now allowing people to start taking the exam actually very early. In some states, straight out of school. In other states, you have to wait a year or two. I'm actually not a huge fan of that. Most of the stuff that happens on the exam is really about things you learned through experience. It's not really stuff you learned in school. So I think having a year or 2 or 3 years of experience is actually it'll make you feel a lot more comfortable going into the exam than just kind of this alien set of questions about contracts and this and that you probably never talked about in school. So even though that's available to you, maybe you're somebody who had a lot of experience before you went to school, well, great, more power to you. But I don't think it's necessarily terribly useful for everybody. It's always good to get some experience, and the best way to get the experience is just to take the exam. Costs money, but it's always the best way to get the experience is just try it. But still, you want to feel confident and ready when you get into it.
Yeah, and to that point, actually, NCARB by the numbers, their report they put out in 2015 showed that the highest pass rates for the exam were for folks who were 5 years away from when they started IDP, meaning they were 5 years into IDP. Those are the folks who had the highest pass rate. So.
Yeah, and my guess is that anywhere in the kind of 3 to 6 range is sort of a reasonable thing. But it depends on the person. The IDP stuff, you can also do it faster than that. It's just if you're not, desperately trying to take the exam and get it done, there's no huge hurry. You just want to keep plugging through it.
All right, so I think, Mike, maybe one more slide there will take us to the end.
There we go.
We have one interesting question here from John from early on. Otherwise, if anyone else has any other questions, feel free to share them here in the question box. John's question is, do you think a firm will regard passing under A.R.E. 4 more valuable than passing under 5?
Damn, John, that's a great question. Well, I think this is the moment where I get to say, when I took the exam, I did it the last year that it was a paper exam, and I actually had to draw a whole big building and do a whole thing, and it was a very different experience. And for years, people talked about like, oh, you kids, you get to do it on the computer and all of that. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be a little bit of that because there'll be more structures in 4.0, there'll be more systems. But when it comes down to it, it's really still the same basic content. It's just rearranged. So yeah, people will be annoying because people are annoying, but I don't think there's any real meaning behind it. It's an interesting question, though. Like I could totally imagine from the people who passed a couple years ago trying to lord it over the new folks.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike. And thanks to all of you who've tuned in and who submitted their questions.
Yeah, good questions
today. Yeah. If you'd like to attend our next A.R.E. live broadcast, where you'll get to ask Mike all of your questions, including those about A.R.E. 4 or 5, you can visit blackspectacles.com/podcast to register to attend. And just like today's episode, you'll have a chance to ask questions and share your answers with Mike for live feedback during the broadcast. To learn more about our AIA A.R.E. prep curriculum, which as I mentioned will be updated to include A.R.E. 5 content in August, go to blackspectacles.com where you can try out any of the free course videos. And for those of you who are ready to start preparing for the A.R.E., and if you're already an AIA member, use coupon code 316-425-YT15 to get a 15% discount for the entire duration of your AIA A.R.E. prep membership. And then finally, please leave a comment below the video to let us know what you think and share any suggestions you may have. I promise we'll read every word that you write and use them to tune our next episodes. So thanks for watching.